How you doing? God, I hope this works because I want to read a few things and then play a little audio clip. But let me try to get this right here. Here's what I want to talk about. There's a couple of different things. As you see, I kind of titled this the State of the Union. And the reason why is I kind of want to go over a few things that have been happening the last couple of days and just some common sense thoughts on it. Um, First, I want to talk about, and this is going to freak people out. I want to talk about the word treason and what that means. Treason, um, here's what it's defined. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. So if we adhere to our enemies and we give them aid and comfort, that is considered treason. Yesterday, Barack Obama waived that law. Why? Well, I tell you why. Because he's sending arms to Al Qaeda. He's sending arms over to the Syrian rebels, which are Al Qaeda. Now, there are a lot of people that go, oh, they're only a small part. That's not true. Well, if it's not true, why did he waive the law just before he began sending those weapons over there again? Waived it yesterday and is now arming Al Qaeda, the terrorist organization. Again, treason is defined as levying, it shall consist only in levying war against them or adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. We are giving them aid and comfort, and we're giving them weapons. President Obama's actions yesterday to waive a portion of that federal law, um, the law prevented the supply of arms to terrorists. He waived it. Now, John McCain, Republican. Lindsey Graham, Republican. John Boehner, Republican. They stand with Obama on Syria. They agree with what's going on. So you have a Democrat and these three Republicans. I've told you before, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I think all of them should be impeached from office. I think all of them should be pulled out. And really, I wouldn't have a big problem if they were tried for treason because they are supplying the enemies. Remember the families of the over 3,000 people killed on 9/11. Imagine that was one of your family members, one of your friends. And now our government has turned around and started arming them again. Even while Al Qaeda has called for all Muslims to rise up and start launching attacks inside the United States on our soil again, we're supplying them with weapons. Now I want to go to another thing. Let's talk a little bit about the shooting yesterday. The guy's name was Aaron Alexis. Killed 12 people in a span of 2 hours inside that building in Washington. How did he get on that base? Well, he was a military contractor. He had military ID and a secret security clearance, which allowed him on that base. Now, most people, when they go on the base, they get checked. Not him. You see, a few years back, President Bill Clinton put into effect a policy or a law disarming some military installations, saying that weapons are not allowed on certain military installations. The Washington shipyard was one of those installations, which means nobody there was allowed to have weapons. This guy wasn't even searched. Let's go into a couple other things that bugged me. He hadn't even officially started working there yet. He had just got the job. Walked in with a shotgun, started killing people. Somehow, I don't know if he brought it in or found it somewhere else, but got a hold of a pistol and started shooting people. He was a Navy veteran, but he was asked to leave the Navy after several incidents involving crimes involving him with weapons. Here's the part that bugs me. It says here, and I want to read this verbatim. Let me just find it here. Here we go. Navy veteran Aaron Alexis, who killed 12 people at the Navy building in Washington Monday morning, had been suffering from a host of serious mental issues, including paranoia. Alexis has been hearing voices in his head and had been treated since August by the Veterans Administration for his mental problems. The Vets Administration was treating him. His record said he had serious mental issues. We gave him a security clearance and a job on a base. You know what the worst part is? He actually had a concealed weapons permit. Well, I mean, you're not going to walk around with a shotgun with a CPL. But yes, I will say flat out that was a breakdown in concealed weapons permits. If you have mental issues like that, you've been treated for them, you've had issues with the law for gun violence, he never should have been given one. But there are people that are right back on the bandwagon of going, oh, gun control, we need gun control. Just hours after the deadly shooting rampage in Washington Navy Yard, gun control advocates trying to reignite the national debate over gun laws that had only just subsided. See, they went right back into, and many of the media were reporting right away, he went in with an AR-15, another one with an assault rifle. It wasn't, it was a shotgun. I know they wanted nothing more than to go, oh, it's another right-wing Tea Party terrorist extremist who did this, but it wasn't. He's a registered Democrat. It says in here, President Obama was one of the first to link Monday's incident to the larger issue of gun violence and the legislative effort to curb it, though he did so without explicitly calling, as he has done repeatedly, for gun control measures. So in other words, he said this is a gun control issue, but he didn't come out and say anything about gun control issues. No. But his spokesman did. In the wake of the shooting at the Navy Yard, Obama spokesman Jay Carney said the president is implementing, here's the key words, executive actions, and reiterated his comment to strengthen gun laws. In other words, Obama's going to say, I don't care what the American people say. I'm going to do what I want anyways. And he went on to say the president supports, as do an overwhelming majority of Americans, common sense measures to reduce gun violence. He didn't have an assault weapon, he had a shotgun. You want to hear something funny? Parents Magazine was interviewing Joe Biden, and one of the people who called in, wrote in to ask a question, said, you're in favor of gun control, Mr. Biden, so is the president. How do you feel about my arming myself to protect my home? And Joe Biden said, and I quote, if you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. Get a shotgun. Well, this guy had one, but no, Obama wants to use his executive powers to go past what the American people have overwhelmingly said, and he wants to institute this stuff anyways. Texas just recalled, was it Texas or Arizona? Might have been Arizona. Well, a southern state, excuse me, just recalled 2 of its legislators because the state said, we don't want your gun control tactics. And these 2 politicians said, too bad, you don't run me, you're not my boss, which they kind of are, and wanted to oppose gun control laws anyways. And the state said, nope, sorry, and they just recalled them. Here's the part that I hate. This shooting was going on, and during the midst of people bleeding to death, dying, and being shot, instead of stopping what he was doing and addressing the American people, President Obama went on to make a speech, which is one of the most inappropriate. And I want to play you an excerpt from MSNBC, which has been the president's cheerleaders for years. Here's what they had to say about this yesterday. Please listen close.
What was going on at the time the president was talking about Republicans liking to, quote, hurt people? The building was obviously still locked down. They were looking for a shooter or shooters. They didn't know at the time. They were finding bodies. There were people hiding in lockers. This was a scheduled speech for a long time. It was the 5-year anniversary of the collapse of Lehman and everything else. Right. A critical issue, no question. Let's do this tomorrow. Let's do it the day after. He did obviously talk about it at the top of that speech, but as Mika said, the staging of it was
because that's exactly, Willie. I mean, I was distracted by the people behind him that looked very excited to be there to talk about You
a
know,
prop. He brought his
they were-
props along, and he had this political speech, and it was a harsh,
I wouldn't have put him in that
partisan
position.
speech from the president of the United
Can we
States
maybe work
on
for-
any day. But you know what? This president is frustrated, and he certainly has every right to do that. But on the day while people were hiding, while people were bleeding, while people were dying, while the nation was locked in on this, he's talking about harsh partisanship and Republicans wanting to hurt people. Mike, what is more partisan than not being able to put aside one of these stupid Washington battles
But postponing it
for
never
a
came
day?
under consideration.
Never came up.
I'm telling you, I don't get it. Once again, we have a situation going on in the country which it's on every news network. Everyone's showing it. Radio stations, TV have broken in with this news. And he goes on to a speech complaining, once again, about the Republican Party. Yeah, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. I think the politicians are all crooks, and this shows it. But right now, the state of our union, we have a president in office who doesn't care about you or what you think. He wants to control, and let's talk a second about gun control. He wants common sense laws to help prevent this gun violence. You know he's from Chicago. You know Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the nation. They also have the highest number of gun violence in the nation. As a matter of fact, the city of Chicago, I think, is third in the world for gun violence. And that's where he's from. That's where his laws are passed. That's what he wants to do. See, it's almost like this upcoming, we have a few days left before Obamacare goes into effect. No one knows what it's about, and he doesn't care. He just wants to pass it. Our politicians don't care. No one wants to be in Syria. But here we have McCain, Boehner, Lindsey Graham going, oh, let's go. We all know it's going to start World War III. Most of the countries around have a feeling that Al-Qaeda is the one who launched those chemical weapons. No one knows for sure. Yet the president waves the law and starts arming these terrorists again. I just don't get where we're going. But I tell you one thing, we're close to some real dangerous waters. And we're allowing it. We're not doing enough to stop it. We have the power to. We're just not. Joseph Stalin said once that the America is strong because of their patriotism, their religion, and their rights. And as soon as you start to strip those away, America will fall. Well, guess what? Those are being stripped away as we speak. As we speak. Stop being a Republican. Stop being a Democrat. Common sense. Look at what's going on. Look at our future. When do we end it? When's it time to say enough?